Hi, my name is Tomasz and you're watching Casual DIY channel. In today's episode we'll be setting up my table saw Evolution Rage 5S. Check out the video. I had this Rage 5S for a few years now and so far it did a good job for me. But for you that watch my videos and know my channel, I've actually moved from the UK back to Poland. And there was a gap of about 6 months where all my garage tools were stowed away. Before I will turn this baby back on, I want to make sure that everything is absolutely fine and set up in the right way. So in today's video I will show you step by step how to adjust every single bit on this machine so you get nice clean cuts. So let's get to it. Let's start from the basics. Right, so the first thing we're going to tackle is to make sure that the blade itself is square to the table. Thanks to that we'll be able to make straight cuts. But also we'll have a look how to set up the blade to 45-degree angle, which is the most common you would use on a table saw. Now I will just remove the zero clearance plate to get access to the blade, ready for the rest of the adjustments we're going to make in this video. To check if my blade is square to the table, I'm actually using this digital gauge, and as you can see it is definitely not square to the table at all. So let's make some adjustments. I'm just unlocking the lever and making sure now that the blade is at 90 degrees to the table. I've got it, so I'm locking the position in. And there you go, perfect 90. Now we need to lock this position in the quick setup. As you can see, the saw actually has got two stops. One for obviously the 90 degrees, i.e. 0, and the other one for 45, which we'll adjust in just a moment. So now when you get to the stop, you will always have 90-degree angle. Underneath all the levers you can see that you can set up the plate to 0 degrees, so it will indicate exactly where you are, but in my case it's off by a few degrees, so I'm just changing that now, where the indicator will show 0 exactly when the blade is at 90 degrees to the table. And now it's time to sort out the most commonly used angle cut, which is 45 degrees. Again, similar process. I'm using my digital gauge to find a 45 angle, and I think I've got it there, and we'll just lock it in place. And as we did before, we're gonna adjust the stop on the saw, where we can quite easily make the 45-degree cuts, again 45-degree setup. And at this point our blade is square to the table. Well, let's have a look at the table itself and what we can do here. The black sides of the saw can actually extend quite significantly and increase the table size, so it's easier to maneuver bigger pieces when you're pushing them through the saw. One thing that you can actually adjust here is this panel here to make sure it's straight with the back edge, with the back runner over here. So just over here, when you've got the black wing, this is the right wing if you're facing the saw forward, it should be absolutely dead on straight and flush with the back runner. Mine actually is not, and there's a really easy way to adjust that. Underneath there are two bolts that are holding the wing to the runner, so we just need to adjust that. If you find that the table itself is not flat, using a level, for example, where the wider black wing is, you can actually, as shown just a second ago, you can adjust the height of this black wing, the right wing, to make sure that your table is flat. So if you're wondering sometimes why my table is not flat and it's caused by this side, you can easily adjust that. But in any other case where the main table, the grey area, is not flat, I would definitely contact the Evolution customer services. The next step is to make sure that the blade itself is parallel to the table. Now, to do that, we got to use this groove as a guide to make sure that the blade is parallel to it. Everything should be straight and true to that groove. In my case, I'm just using a ruler just to check the back of the blade towards the edge of the groove, and obviously then the front of the blade, making sure that the ruler does not touch the teeth of the blade to get an accurate reading. In my case, it's actually spot on. I've got no adjustment that needs to be done. But if you do have a problem and the distance from the front and from the back when you measured to the groove is different, then you need to make an adjustment. To adjust that, what you can find, you got 4 bolts on the table itself. The only one that you need to adjust is the one at the back of the machine on the left hand side if you are facing the machine. So you just undo that. And just tap it gently whichever way you need to position the blade itself to be parallel to the groove. And then just tighten that up and you are done. Another thing that you may need to adjust is the riving knife, which is behind the blade. So what does it actually do? Just quickly, it makes sure when you're pushing your wood through the blade, it doesn't bond at the back and basically causes a havoc in your workshop. It makes sure that the wood stays separate at the back and you will have no issues. It's a very important thing to have. I would not operate the saw without the riving knife. The riving knife also houses a blade guard that goes on top of the blade, so your fingers are safely protected by that. But unfortunately my blade guard gone missing during the move, so I'm not going to show you that part. But again, you got a hole through the riving knife and you just attach the blade guard onto it. It's a very simple thing to do. But obviously the riving knife should be in most cases above the blade itself, unless you're using a different setup. Mine is on the same level as the blade, or actually a little bit lower because I was using my sled. To adjust the height of it, this saw actually comes with 2 keys, one to change the blade itself and the other one, for example in this case, to adjust the height of the knife. You just loosen the bolt a little bit. Enough so you can position your riving knife. And you can now tighten that up. Now there's a couple of things I want to show you with that. First thing, make sure that the riving knife goes straight with the blade. If it's off, left or right, it may cause you some issues. Secondly, there needs to be a gap between the blade and the riving knife. If there isn't, well, you can imagine what's going to happen. Before you turn on the saw, just run the blade and see if it's not catching anything. If for some reason you're going to take off the plate that is holding the riving knife, there is actually an arrow indicating which way it needs to be pointing, and the arrow goes towards the blade. So you will never make a mistake and put the plate in the wrong place. The next thing I want to talk to you about with regard setting up the saw is the fence itself. And for a budget type-ish table saw, the fence is reasonably good. It actually attaches from the back and from the front, so you can be sure you're going to get a nice clean cut when you set the fence up correctly. How to check if the fence is parallel to the blade itself? Well, we already set up the blade that is parallel to the groove on the table, and we're going to use the same groove to make sure the fence is parallel to the blade as well. On top of the fence you've got two bolts that we can undo, loosen up just a little bit, not too much, and now we'll use the groove itself to guide us to make sure we are parallel with the blade. Like so, lock it in place, and now do up the bolts again. Okay, I think I went through all the most important things so you can get the most accurate cuts possible on this table saw. I hope that was helpful. Obviously, the table saw comes with a carriage which is located just over here, and the wings again, they extend to full capacity, making it a great saw for recutting larger pieces. That way they are supported on both sides. If you want to have my in-depth thoughts about this saw, you can check out my review of this table saw after using it after 2 years, and obviously my initial thoughts on this table saw. I will link all the videos down below in the description of this video if you want to find out a little bit more about this particular table saw. I hope this video was helpful to you, and now you can tune up your table saw so it gives you perfect cuts each time. That is it from me. I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, drop me that like button down below, and if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel for more cool content. Thank you very much. Take care.